Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folani. Hope you had a lovely, holidays. It's all back to work. It's not Monday, though. It's Tuesday, the beginning of the week. Anyhow, you know how that has happened. Well, my guest this morning is Mr. Ademola Oshodi. He's a Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs. It's a day late, but still, a happy conclusion of the Easter holiday.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy Easter too, sir.
Indeed. Let's say it like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, we have you. So I thought we could talk a bit about diplomacy, especially as it relates to the way Nigeria conducts itself, what the policy is, the foreign affairs policy of this regime. Now, it's a very involved subject. Some will say even technical, but we can still make it sort of simple enough for most people to understand with you here. So when they talk about Nigeria's foreign policy, if anybody were to look it up, they'd find that our foreign policy is actualized on a doctrine of 4 Ds. They say democracy, development, demography, and diaspora. So that part of it is simple enough.
Yes.
But meaning, could you help us now with the meaning so that the average Nigerian, the ordinary Nigerian, knows the direction and the thrust of Nigeria's foreign policy being in democracy, development, demography, and diaspora?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Uncle Yuri.
Our pleasure.
I start with democracy. Democracy is, speaks for itself, which is the process of having people vote for their own representative to represent them in government, and also the process of governance, which is rights of the people, freedom of speech, free judiciary. We also have issues of gender, respect, religious freedom, and just basically good governance in against corruption. So that's the general process. So
these are values that Nigeria actively signs up for.
Absolutely, Nigeria signed up for it with the ECOWAS Doctrine, with African Union, with the United Nations, but most importantly, it is part of our constitution. It's how we chose to guide and govern ourselves. So regarding foreign affairs, Nigeria believes that we should in many ways help promote or enhance or restore democracy in our sphere of influence, so where we reside, particularly West Africa, Africa, and even countries around the world. We can help build those institutions that democracy, the pillars of democracy, stand on. Okay. So
now, when we talk, thank you very much for that. There's also demography and diaspora.
Yes. Nigeria has a very young teeming population, one of the fastest growing population in the world, definitely the largest populated country in Africa, and black in the black race. So we need to put policies in place to ensure those that teeming population, that growing population, Nigeria population will be one of probably top 4 in the next 25 years or 30 years. It's going to be mammoth. So we need to ensure that Nigeria's teeming population also gives us an ability to project ourselves in foreign affairs, to ensure that we have people that migrate to different countries, we have people that trade. We need to make sure we put things in place for this population, this massive population, and ensure that it also in many ways suits our agenda in ensuring that Nigeria is a strong, stable, developed country.
Okay.
So yeah.
So, from what you've explained, sometimes you hear that some countries have a non-aligned policy.
Yes.
That's not Nigeria.
No, Nigeria is technically non-aligned.
Okay, I like the word technically slipped in there.
Yes, we are. Well, the reason I say technical, because there used to be a non-aligned movement, and like an organization that really have the countries that are non-aligned to the East or West, East being the Soviet bloc, West being the West, America, and the Europeans. So Nigeria is part of that, but so there's no such thing as a non-aligned movement anymore. But Nigeria is, in principle, non-aligned. We don't, in many ways, ensure that all our policies are in line with what the Russians or the Americans say. We basically look after our own interests, what suits Nigeria, what suits us in our neighborhood, what suits us in development, what suits us in ensuring our security. So whichever bloc, whether East or West, North or South, whichever bloc suits our interests is where we're aligned with. We will be vague on issues, especially on maybe Ukraine matter. We voted in support of Ukraine at the United Nations, but we're not in any way pushing or actively criticizing Russia.
Okay.
That's an example of a very non-aligned. We're neutral in some ways. And that's how our foreign policy has always been since inception of independence.
Indeed, because I understand that this policy based on the 4 Ds, it's the way it's been since the time of Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa.
Yes.
The first Prime Minister of Nigeria.
Yes.
So this is the way it's been. Now, I suppose the next question we could go into is, how well has this policy served us, this 4 Ds policy? How well has it served us? And I ask that against the background of the fact that very recently, well, relatively recently, since I talked about Tafawa Balewa, relatively recently, you have a situation where some of our sister countries, sister African countries, they decided as a result of, non-democratic change of governance in their own country, and Nigeria, among the majority of African countries not standing for it, they decided to pull out. And they pull out of the African Union. And it's like, clearly, as we see on the street, they were not happy about it. They were bending neck a bit. And even though, as we speak, Nigeria still has the door open to them and is hoping that they will reconsider and come back, these people, these countries have been carrying on, going about their business as they seem fit. So that's the background against which I asked, how well has this served us? Because clearly they feel that we are not supporting them as we should.
Thank you. I'm not sure how much we can support a non-democratic government. But I'll say this thing. The 4 Ds have given us a platform, a blueprint of how we should pursue our foreign policy. And regarding those countries in ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States, especially the Sahel countries of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. It's regrettable that they've left the bloc, the ECOWAS bloc, but I admire the principles in which the chairman of ECOWAS, President Bola Tinubu, has been forthright and saying, look, we still stand, you signed up for this doctrine. And it's the cornerstone of the ECOWAS, which is ensuring democratic values and democracy is adhered to. So we may lose friends, we may lose partners, but those principles are in many ways unbending. We should not in any ways compromise with them. We should work with them in any ways, but we should also ensure that we give them this carrot and stick approach. You do good, we'll give you this. You don't do good, we don't give you this. It's important because their own development and security affects us. We cannot allow non-democratic governments, military regimes, fester around our neighborhood. It is bad for us. It is bad for development. It encourages mayhem, insecurity, and in many ways, it is hampering our trade and security relationship with those countries. So For instance, they kicked out the French, they kicked out the Americans, the Germans, all the military assistance they used to have. So we need to ensure that, okay, you've pushed these people out, who are you bringing in? Are you bringing in parties that are not favorable to Nigeria, Nigeria's interest? Nigeria being the big brother of in West Africa, you know. So it's important that we stand firm on those values. They may not like it, but it's important on the long run, based on what Chairman Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Chairman of ECOWAS, has said. It's on the long run in the interest of all parties. And we should not compromise those things.
The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I think even before coming into office, was known to have, you know, very cordial relations with the French president. So much so that I think one could go as far as saying that they're actually friends. Now, does this complicate matters any, seeing as Mali, Burkina Faso, as you were just explaining, some of them kicked out, they kicked out the French and said, enough, we don't. But Nigeria, well, the Nigerian president, chairman of ECOWAS, is still very close to France. In fact, he's just come back from a trip that indeed included France. So what cover do we have, and do we need any cover when these people adopt the attitude of, okay, Almighty Nigeria is fraternizing with our enemies. He doesn't want to hear from us, but is doing what it is doing. Can we speak very much like Trump speaks in terms of make America great again is number one. Anything else is beyond, is after that. And you were just explaining that we have to have our own milestones, yardsticks, measuring rods.
Values.
And thank you very much. And values. So is that, give me your prognosis for how that is going to proceed. We, at the moment, have appealed to them to come back, continue to say that the door is open, but how is it going to proceed?
It's going to proceed very delicately. I can tell you that for a fact. I know that the Nigerian Foreign Minister, Ambassador Tugo, went to Niger to meet with the Niger counterpart. And I've also read things in the media that the heads of states of Niger and President of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, may have a meeting planned. So that's very encouraging. That also helps us. But back to the French issue you talked about. We did mention the fact that Nigeria is a non-aligned country. So we can make friends, we can make our partnership regardless, whichever suits our interests. Nigeria is encircled by former French colonies. Encircled. Is it Benin? Is it Niger? Is it Chad? Is it Cameroon? So it's very important that we keep this country that held these countries as colonial, entities. We keep them close. Our trade, border trade, issues of insecurity, issues of smuggling, a lot of it is based on our locality. As they say, politics is local. So, France is key, is pivotal to Nigeria's security and development based on their historical relationship with those countries. Even though it may be fraught, but it's important that Nigeria ensures that our own primary interest is protected.
Okay. So Nigeria's foreign affairs thrust and policy, can one then say it's Africa-centric?
It is interest-centric. It is our interest,
Okay.
We did the Africa-centric one in the early days, the 70s, with General Murtala Mohammed fighting for freedom in Angola, South Africa, Mozambique, Namibia. Nigeria did very well. We're very proud. We have medals to show for it. Even Nigerians in South Africa will raise their head and say, "We've helped you guys fight independence." We did it. We did well. And we're in a phase whereby, most of all these countries are independent. Now it's ensure that this big brother takes care of himself. You know, we have to ensure that our own development and interests, security especially, is taken care of. So our foreign policy is based on those 4 Ds. It's development, demography, in diaspora, and democracy. So it's important that if those African countries, or Western countries, or particular West African countries, suits our interests regarding our development, our security, our, our future stability, etc., it's important that we prioritize them. Not, and I apologize for saying this, not some idealistic approach of Africa power. We trade with Africa. We have this African Continental Free Trade Agreement that's going to open up trade with the rest of Africa, which is fantastic. You understand? But it suits us. We have trade with Africa, free movement of people and goods, just like we have in ECOWAS. So it's something we should admire and look up to. But it is based on concrete, tangible interest, and not fighting or idealist and say we're a big brother, we're fighting for issues, and as much as they're very concerning, especially in Sudan or in DRC Congo, they're very important. But how much does that affect us here? The crisis in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali affects us more, and that's where our priority is. That's where the president has insisted that we focus a lot on. Because
the president was and has been quite uncompromising with anybody, whether friend, whether foe, whether brother, negatively tampering with democracy.
Yes.
It's like a zero tolerance policy.
Yes.
The president said it, he said it publicly, that it's the one area that we can't compromise because it simply is the best way to go about living our lives politically and as a nation.
Absolutely.
And everybody is aware that there is no generally accepted better option than democracy.
Absolutely.
Now, you spoke earlier briefly about migration to different countries.
Yes.
By Nigerians. That interests me a bit, especially nowadays with President Trump doing what he sees as best for his country. That also affecting us, when I say us, not just Nigeria, some other Africans as well, in terms of their permission to stay in America, for example.
Yes.
I don't mean to take on America directly, but it's a foreign currency and it is the person making the most noise right now. And suddenly, the rules are not being followed, it would seem, to those of us that are not pros. The rules are not being followed because we're reading that even if all your papers are in order, you just might be approached by some regulatory authority, and the long and short of that is a lot of Nigerians, it was in the news, you must have seen it, are being, terrorized, are being threatened with deportation to their countries. Is it that it's not a universal concept, this thing we're talking about, democracy, development, demography, and diaspora? It's not a universal concept, so that does someone need to explain it to President Trump that this is the way the whole world is going now? Like the president has said, the world is not looking towards coups anymore. There are other ways. Explain that bit to me, and how sometimes it would seem as if we're on our own.
Okay, Trump is American, and we are Nigerians. It's unfortunate the way the Nigerians in diaspora are treated anywhere, not just in America, maybe in Ghana, maybe in South Africa, and maybe even in Niger. Nigeria foreign policy is to take care of and look after those diaspora. It's part of those 4 Ds you mentioned, diaspora. So we have focus with the diaspora, Nigerian Diaspora Commission, ensuring that with the welfare and the interest of Nigerian diaspora community is looked into. Nigeria has a massive diaspora population, and the remnants, the money they remit, the money they bring into Nigeria is very, very important. It's pivotal to the Nigerian economy. It's huge. But I don't believe what the American policy on their own local policy, and it's general. They treat all immigrants, whether you're illegal or not, a certain way. Whether if you're illegal, they want to ship you out or whatever. That's America.
Even those allegedly that are legal are not entirely free from problems. It's like it's almost come down to luck. Although, let it be said, I'm not a diplomat, so I can say that people are saying that this particular administration, the world has not seen anything like it in recent memory.
It's what the Americans voted for. You know, we have our own election, and you know, everybody has their way.
The principle of democracy comes back in again.
Absolutely, absolutely.
President Trump is there at the behest of the American electorate.
Absolutely. And the next election, the Americans will decide whether they favor his policy, whether his policy is working. Unfortunately, it affects people in diaspora, Nigerians in diaspora and other countries, Venezuelans, El Salvador, Haiti, Cubans, whatever, you know. So it's not just particular to Nigeria. But though, I mean, the Americans would realize that Nigeria is bringing tremendous value.
Indeed.
We have one of the largest per capita income immigrant population in America. The professionals, we have one of the highest rates of university graduates as immigrants in America. So it will be a loss to them. It will be a loss to them if they, you know, they in many ways mistreat those people, and those people find other places. You know, I would prefer they come back home and help us develop in our development, because there's, you know, the domestic reforms of President Bola Tinubu, as painful as it is bringing tremendous structural changes to Nigeria. And it's important that diaspora people know that. People that are coming back home from America, from Europe, from South Africa, and contributing to the development of this country. You know, finding ways around it, thinking outside the box. So if Donald Trump's policy does not favor you, I can bet you and I assure you the policies of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is structured to make things better for you, for Nigeria.
Okay, well, indeed. The other thing that I thought we could bring up is when the president, who has just arrived home yesterday, welcome back, Mr. President, when the president was abroad, it was reported that he was meeting with high-ranking American officials in France, if I didn't get that wrong. America, France, Nigeria and America are having talks in France. How did all of that, what was that all about?
Well, it's the president went for a private visit, as you know. So I think on the corners of the visit, his time, he met with key American diplomats. He met with, I think, the Donald Trump's main person for Africa as an advisor, I believe. So it was a private visit. Nothing was disclosed, no communique. I think, I believe it's just a get-to-know-you kind of visit.
Okay.
So it wasn't an official
So it
visit.
wasn't an official
engagement. It wasn't, you know.
But there must have been some respect in there. If it wasn't official,
yes.
The president was in France, maybe the Americans also were in France, and they still managed to arrange a meeting.
Yes.
That could only have come from a sort of a mutual respect.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the international community really respects the boldness of the Nigerian president, his reform package, his foreign policy, especially trying to stabilize things in West Africa, and in particular, ensuring that investments, the stabilization of the Nigerian naira, very important, you know, and the, you know, removal of the subsidy, as painful as it is, has brought opportunities for, you know, infrastructural developments in all parts of Nigeria. So it's, you know, it's something that the international community is much aware of. IMF just released a communique a few months ago, I think, praising the boldness of the reform and saying that it's taking shape. Of course, there's some ups and downs.
Of course,
but, but the international community, I can assure you, is looking at things differently and say, wow, this is the path Nigeria has long delayed in taking, and somebody has the boldness to do it. you know, so, and it's remarkable.
Well, it's good that you said, you know, that painful as it is,
yes,
we are going through reforms.
Oh, yes, yes.
Simply because, for once, we don't have a leader who is also going to join in kicking the can down the road.
Absolutely.
Saying that, look, enough is enough. We've got to do something now.
I want to mention also I think where the government could do more, even though I'm associated with the government, I think we should push more on our soft power. And I'll explain what soft power is. Soft power is basically ensuring we can influence our foreign partners, countries, on a very non-coercive, not threatening, and very, I would say, very easy, soft, accepting way. I'll give you an example. Nigeria is a leader when it comes to, or not a leader, a champion in music in Africa. Nollywood is massive around the globe. There's also, we have great academics, you know, Chida, Amanda, Wale, Shoyinka. We have, you know, we have the massive diaspora population that is doing so well, you know, that coming back with either the Super Bowl trophy or coming back with NBA championship rings. So we need to enhance these people, enhance this thing. We need to showcase these people.
That's the area of soft
diplomacy.
Yes,
yes. And in those things, people will look at Nigeria in a more favorable light. It's a subliminal message. It's not something that you throw in their face, but we enhance it. We ensure that, you know, in many ways we project.
It's part of the whole positivity of Nigeria.
It is.
Let me take this call from Mr. Joshua in Irewolide. Good morning to you, Mr. Joshua.
Mr. Inarias, and my greetings to your guests.
Thank you.
I hope you're doing well, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're looking good.
You're so kind. Thank you very much.
Well done, sir. So, for me, I think all of the packages you have been talking about borders on governance and leadership, as it were. And I think that governance is no longer rocket science. I think certain things are easy to pick. I so much appreciate your guest there. Is speaking so much to the issues concerning reforms and what the international community perceives Nigeria to be. But on theory, you can see the disconnect. International community, IMFM says Nigeria is doing well, as it were, but the citizens are crying, may Nigeria not happen to you, as it were. Busy demarketing Nigeria. The highest form of demarketing and going on against the country is right here in Nigeria. If you dare say that the country is doing well, Okuyori, you can be killed on the street. You can be lynched, as it is at the moment, the way Nigerians are angry. Meaning that there's a complete disconnect between governance and the people. You see, our people are not empowered. Just on the reform. They stand food on the table. They understand prices of goods and services in the market. How do we bridge this gap of Uyori? How do we? There is a need for the leadership in Nigeria at the moment to prioritize educating Nigerians. It is very important, Nigerians need to be educated, so that we have above average understanding that yes, food is important. Yes, immediate survival is important. But what about the future of the children we are born in now? Which future are we living for them if we continue to eat everything when productivity is at the lowest? On a radio station, they were having a program because the pastor said Nigeria is doing well. These young people went after that pastor, they finished his life. So they were talking in that radio program and saying, may Nigeria not happen to you. I now told them that the truth is that may Nigerians not happen to you. Nigeria is good, but may Nigerians not happen to you. I have tried to invest in businesses over the past few years. Uncle Yori, this guy defraud me, steal all the money, and I have to hide my head. You can't invest. You can't give them money to come and do something for you. They will run away with the money. And then where are we going to have development? So my point is, to your guest and to the Uncle Yori, there's a need to bridge the gap between Nigerians. If you don't empower them with information, you will just be busy building reform and everything will be destroyed. So let's balance it up. Let the people be empowered to move along with the government. I wish one day that the president, before he goes, I know he will come for second term, but before he goes for this second term, I wish he will come to your program. I want to plead with him because I know him, right? I know him that is intelligent. So he needs communication. He needs to pass the right information to connect with the people so that they will not misunderstand him. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joshua in Irewolede. Now, there's a lot to unpack there. So what I propose is that let me take a quick break so you won't be interrupted. Absolutely. And then we'll... So do please stay with us. We'll be right back. We'll continue this conversation as soon as after this break.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV station of the year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Welcome back. Guest still with us is Mr. Ademola Oshodi, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs. And we are looking at the 4 Ds of diplomacy that Nigeria has been following, even from the time of Nigeria's first Prime Minister, Tafawa Balewa. Okay, and just before we went on break, Joshua and Irewolede had called in and had, made a presentation that Ademola, I could see Ademola taking notes, so maybe we'll look at that now. He's two things: demarketing Nigeria, and it's okay if somebody else does it. Not that it's okay, but you can understand if someone else does it. But Nigerians themselves, first of all, what would be your comment in? Do you find that to be true that there are Nigerians who demarket Nigeria? And also his second and sort of a connected point about a complete disconnect between the governed and the people.
I understand where he's coming from, and it's a very painful situation out there. Things are really tough financially, and I think you can't deny that. But I think what Mr. Joshua should have realized, and Nigerians should realize, is that we were living a lie. We were kicking the can down the street. We were just postponing our doomsday. Subsidy was unsustainable. Subsidy was the cost of education. It was the cost of healthcare. It was the cost of many works, infrastructure, all combined. The money we were spending on subsidy. We were subsidizing the naira. We had this system of dollars, whereby, people that manufacture would get a certain exchange rate, and then the general population gets this thing if you can get access to it, and there's black market. It was just, it was BS. It was just BS. And then we had electricity, we were subsidizing. So yes, it's, they removed all those things, and it's massive pain. It is really painful, and I can't deny that.
But at the same time, a lot of funds were released that have been funneled back to
Yes.
subnationals, the state governments.
Yes, and nobody talks about that.
For the benefit of the people.
The states.
Reverend Dominic, I'll be with you. I'll be with you, Reverend Dominic.
Yes, the states, the state government, the local governments, they also have this money that they can use to push things, push development, alleviate the masses. It's not just the federal government. But again, we were living a lie.
Okay.
And we stopped lying to ourselves and said, this is the true state of the country and we need to restructure it for the betterment of the future, for the betterment of our children.
Okay.
So the painful process, which is, again, very painful, it is not forever.
Okay. Let me bring in, because Reverend, I'm sure there are some other things you wanted to also talk about, there. But Reverend Dominic has called in, and I can't risk holding him on for too long. Good morning to you, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, Chief Yori. Good morning to your guests.
Thank you, sir.
Your guest has spoken well, and I want to continue where Joshua stopped.
Sure.
Yori, Nigerians are not terrible the way we paint ourselves. Last week, Sunday, I called a meeting in the church, this young one that's on social media. I said the narration we're giving is making us look stupid by ourselves. You understand, in social media, pastors are thieves, politicians are thieves, lawyers are thieves, doctors are thieves, police, they're thieves. So if the whole segment of Nigeria are thieves, how could the nation move forward in that way?
And these are pronouncements by Nigerians.
Nigerians, even on television, pastors are thieves, the judges are thieves, police are thieves, journalists, they are thieves. How do we run a nation like that? 250 million people. I can't even hear you. Can I go on?
Yes, please. I can hear you. We can hear you.
What I'm trying to say, I travel outside Nigeria. You're not to say this with utmost respect to all Nigerians. There's no nation like Nigeria. I don't stay abroad more than 3 weeks if I go to my work. There's no nation. There's no beautiful nation. There's no caring nation. There's no wonderful people in the world like Nigerians. Let me say this. A few years ago, I went to Dubai for medicals. I regretted it. When I went to that hospital in Dubai, the man who attended to me as a socialist was a man from a good state. One Tunde from a good state. The lab technician was an Imo man. The another nurse I met there is from somewhere other in the north. So the whole medical staff in that hospital in Dubai are Nigerians. And the hospital is working 100% well. I begin to ask myself, why did I come here? If the whole Nigerians are the ones attending to me. But the issue here is that our narrative is not good. This nation is great. Yes, there's insecurity. Yes, there's a problem. But Nigerians are wonderful people. We're not all thieves. This will not change that narrative. And I want to tell the SSA to the president, let's find a way from NOA, from Minister of
the National Orientation Agency,
to find a new narrative for Nigeria. We're not this terrible. This nation is wonderful. Unless you're not traveling out. We're not this terrible. But of course, some politicians have governors. Like what Joshua said, if I go outside and say this thing, they will lynch me. Oh, you're part of APC. Oh, you're part of government. You say in the midst of trouble, Nigerians are good. Nigerians are wonderful people. Honestly, we must change our narrative. So, we're not artists. We are great men. We are great men. There may be bad people here and there. How can all segments of the nation is thieves? It doesn't go. People that come to your station use that word. Pastors are thieves. Judges are thieves. Politicians are thieves.
Okay, Reverend. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Reverend. A passionate Nigerian there, bemoaning what we're talking about, Nigerians demarketing Nigeria out of pain, perhaps.
Yes, it is. I mean, it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate, but we can only do as best as we can to try and see the positive and explain to the people why this pain is it, and this pain is not forever.
Exactly, and perhaps that's what the Tinubu administration is working at.
Well, I very strongly, and as much as it's not relatable, the international community recognize and see and admire and give accolades. There's no other leader that has the balls, that has the courage, the boldness to do what, the reforms that is needed in this country.
That's right.
Nigeria in the next few years is going to be, is already, but it's going to be in a more steeper upward trajectory. And the people cursing the country now, slamming and abusing everybody, and say, they will just be quiet. It's like, wow, things are good. Things are getting better, and things will get better. But it's hard to say or relate to that when people are going through tremendous pain. And my heart goes out to Nigerians for the challenges they face on a daily basis. But it's necessary and it's going to work.
Indeed. Certainly, I'm sure the president and his team all believe that. But a body was brought up there, NOA, the National Orientation Agency.
Yes.
Their work, by the acronym that describes them, Orientation Agency, I guess their work is to help Nigerians discover the real orientation that they have and should have. But for some reason, I would imagine that this orientation agencies, its work is sort of intertwined with the work of diplomacy, how we see ourselves. Maybe not directly, but you understand what I mean. It's not unconnected. No,
it's not. It's all related to ensuring that the Nigerian mindset is on track to ensure that we have a purpose in this government, we have a ownership of this government, and we have responsibilities as a citizen. So it's all entwined. So, but of course, foreign affairs is more how we deal with our external partners and stuff. But the road here is towards ensuring that the country is understood. The citizens understand the country. They are our neighbors in Cameroon, in Togo, in Niger.
With substantial Nigerian populations, though.
Absolutely, yes. You understand? And it's important that we, as a country, in an international arena, whether it's in African Union or United Nations, stand firm and say, look, we represent a massive population in Africa. We are the leaders of Africa. We ensure the interest of not only Nigeria, but also our neighbors and Africa is respected.
So that's the objective.
And we can push that.
That's what we're working at.
We can push that with our involvement with the BRICS.
Okay.
Nigeria is a partner in BRICS. We can push that with our involvement in the G20 of nations. We can push that in, of course, in the United Nations, in ECOWAS, in the the Commonwealth, a lot of key international institutions.
And that's what's
where
on
Nigeria's
right now.
voice. It is, yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Ige in Abuja, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for holding on.
You're welcome.
Should I say that again? Mr. Ige, good morning to you, sir. Can you hear us?
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Oh, very well, thank you. Please go ahead now.
Yeah, I've been following this program from Mr. Ademola.
Mr. Ademola Oshodi.
I've been following with your program. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah. What Mr. Ademola, the program of Mr. Ademola Oshodi and Mr. Folani. You see, I want to speak on the last speaker that said Nigerians are wonderful people. Yes, we are wonderful people. But let me tell you the gospel truth that we've not told ourselves today. The marketing we are talking about is from our leaders. The Nigerian leaders, both executive, judiciary, and legislature. All what is happening in government today is a bad influence on international policy and in foreign policy, in foreign affairs. All these things, the marketing us. Look at what happened in Rivers. Look at what happened in National Assembly, Natasha, Apatio. And we are saying that foreign it doesn't have any impact. It doesn't have any negative impact on foreign affairs. It is. We need to sit down. The security begins at home. Let's sit themselves down and see whether they are really, really doing it right. If truly they are really, really doing it right, then we'll now see how we can build our image outside the country. This is really, really affecting us. The effects of bad governance is what is demarketing Nigeria today. And two, let me also use this opportunity to tell Mr. Oshodi to tell whoever that they are affairs. Let's go back to Obasanjo's government. I remember that period. Agricultural policy was booming through foreign aid, even through local policy, internal policy. Let us look at importation of heavy equipment people use in the farm. I remember we cleared dump truck of 100,000 naira. Excavator, 150. They are subsidized by government. This boosts our economy. So if we can have government policy that says on agriculture, like a waiver for equipment they use in the farm, honestly speaking, will not be going back and forth the way we are going in this country.
All right. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Ege. Really appreciate your call. Thank you. Ademola, take it from anywhere.
I think it is Mr. Ege is talking about the perception.
Yes, and he started off from saying, he started off by alleging that it is our leaders that are demarketing the country. Yeah. Leave the poor Nigerian out of it. I don't think it's the leadership problem is synonymous in any country. We talk about leader in America. We talk about leader in Australia, in Niger, in South Africa. It's not just a Nigerian issue. And the issues we have here are just normal things. They're not key things that are affecting the whole structure or the whole unity of the country. Yes, there's people that have their own misunderstanding and it's all in public. But the key here is it's known that it's not just a Nigerian phenomenon. And I would like to tell the speaker that the international community finds us more favorable than we find ourselves. Okay. They admire the Nigerians and their success outside. They admire the courage and reforms of the president, that no other president in Nigeria had the nerve or the courage to do so. They admire the fact that these reforms, these fiscal challenges are taking shape. May not trickle down completely to the average man, but it's taking shape. They know this is the path to economic freedom. They know this is the path for development to ensure that the next generation, Nigeria is going to be well over 200 million people. That's right. You need to put things in place. But some would argue that that's Nigerians in the diaspora. But here, why it is not so, perhaps, is that they're so very, very close to it.
Yes.
And so they have a sort of a different take on it. There are still people like Joshua in Irewole. There are many patriots who are local, some even in diaspora who are not the way we're talking about. But it is those, arguably, no poor man, even if you were a poor man before you left here, you somehow are okay once you get over there. And so to that extent, the head is a bit more cluttered and a bit and are able to look at issues a bit more dispassionately.
I question that okay when you get over there. I really question it. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
If you have a job, you have opportunity to get a job, but it's I've lived there. It's a very lonely existence. You are not accepted. You can be there for 20, 30 years.
You're right.
You are not accepted.
You're right.
And you're there in your little flat or your whatever, doing jobs that you wish you didn't have to do because you have to survive. You come back to Nigeria and you're acting big and successful. It's misery there. You make money, you can't enjoy the money, the taxes take everything. So I question that. I'm not saying that we have a great thing in Nigeria with issues of security, issues of employment, issues of so many
tough.
of even strife, communal strife in Nigeria.
Right.
I get you.
Yes.
You understand? But I don't necessarily accept the fact that over
right.
there is Eureka.
You're right, Ademola.
Yes.
And this is the communal strife
Yes.
that you just spoke about. This is what the Nigerian at home probably feels is a lot closer to. He doesn't have to sift through all the global politics to arrive at that story. It's front page news for us.
Yes.
And so to that extent, perhaps our people feel it a bit differently. But I understand and I appreciate what you're saying. But it's just, it's a difficult thing because whereas you're right, there are people who perhaps might even take offense from your saying that because you've gone over there, you are just suffering and smiling.
Yeah, but you need to be able to make an educated contribution. So I've experienced it. So yeah, I can't say talk about it if I've not experienced it.
That's right.
You know, so it's beautiful. Things are well organized, and the opportunities, jobs opportunities are there.
But we're working at it ourselves here.
That's what we're working on here, to have the same kind of life and opportunity. But this is your home, not somebody else's place where you can be there for 50 years. Even your children will still not be accepted.
Indeed.
You'll be like a second citizen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Well, you know, whenever we come to matters like this, you know, foreign affairs that has to do with, especially as it relates to the image of Nigeria and therefore us, it's always exciting, you know, to hear the different angles to it, and especially when the academics and when they get in on it and get very, very deep into it. That's another thing altogether. But for now, we've just, as it were, just scratched the surface. Because if somebody were to say to you, Ademola, no time limit, talk about your beloved country, Nigeria, and its democratic aspects. Oh, we'd be here for the next 2-3 hours. Absolutely. You know, that kind of a thing. Yeah.
So give me food and water.
So I want to thank you, Ademola, for coming along, because all of what you have been saying as it relates to Nigeria, beloved country, is around the 4D principles. 4D's principle: democracy, development, demography, and diaspora. I don't know if I'm being told to. So I was just going to thank you very much for making yourself available, and I hope we can do it again sometime. Absolutely. Thank you very much for coming and sharing your perspectives.
God bless Nigeria.
Indeed, God bless Nigeria. So that's our program today. Do please join us tomorrow for